today? Who do we
Yes,
have
we
with
do.
us?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are so honored to have this young man with us. He is making some big waves in the entertainment industry as a whole. He is the Vice President of Programming for Reach Gospel Radio. He's the Vice President of the National Association of Gospel Radio. None other than Kyle E.G. Glover. Welcome to the Wake Up Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning. What's happening, guys? Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Man, we're honored to have you. You're doing some major things in radio and in this Christian entertainment.
Amen. Amen. To God be the glory.
Yes. So where are you from?
I'm originally from Philly. I don't know if y'all can see this, but I represent my Sixers this morning. But
Lakers.
so I'm originally from Philly, born and raised. And I'm actually still living in this area.
Okay. Well, how'd you get started? Are you a musician and a singer as well?
No. For me, I started out my first assignment in radio. I worked at Radio One. I was a intern. And I got in through the doors that way. I was interning for our morning show, where after a few months there, the company hired Charlemagne. And Charlemagne had the morning show here in Philadelphia, and I was his intern. Um, and I guess I just excelled in that area because he really pushed for the company to hire me because he said he saw something in me. So I mean, I know what it was. Our spirits definitely connected. But he really pushed for them to hire me, and the rest is kind of history. I kind of moved up within management within my first 2 years of being employed, from being a part-time producer to becoming the music director within 2 years, and then moving from there to the assistant program director, and then eventually program director. So my steps definitely have been ordered.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So what does a program director really do? We hear the term program director. What does it encompass, the program director's job?
So the program director is responsible for all things on air, right? So when we talk about the music, we're talking about commercials, the liners, the sweepers, just the general imaging, the jocks. So pretty much any and everything that the listener is listening to, the program director is responsible for, to make sure that it covers and goes in the same direction of the branding of the station. To make sure that the station just sounds good overall. When it comes to like the imaging, which is your jingles and your sweepers and things like that. Kind of make sure those always sound fresh, and they're always renewed every so often for your listener to listen, to enjoy their listening experience. To come up with different contests, to make sure that people are engaged. Make sure the jocks are talking about what people want to hear. Make sure you have good talent on the air. And ultimately making sure the music remains the star.
That's a huge job because
It is a huge job.
if things don't go well, you get blamed for it, and if they do, you get praised
Absolutely.
for it.
Absolutely. It's it can go either way. You gonna get praised if it goes well. If it doesn't, it's time for you to go.
Right, right. Okay, so you would Reach Radio. Is
Yes,
it a
Reach Gospel
collab? Is it
Radio.
a bunch? Is it a bunch of stations, or is it one particular station?
So Reach Gospel Radio is a network of 20 stations up and down the East Coast. I think our lowest one in the South is Sumter, South Carolina. We go all the way up through Canada.
You said 20,
Yes,
and
20 stations.
you oversee all of them. So is it like you make a
Yes.
major playlist for everybody? I mean, how does that work with the 20 different ones? Is everybody on the same page, or do they choose their own music?
No, we're pretty much on the same network. We haven't really sectioned them off as of yet to individual stations. But they're all on the same network up and down the East Coast. So, I do program for all of them.
Okay, so if you wasn't doing radio, what would you be doing?
Oh, my side hustle, which is I do management music consulting as well. So I do work with a few artists, and with their careers, and so that pretty much would be what I would be doing.
Wow, you're a busy man to be able to do all that. God had to have called you because people can't be effective doing multiple things, but you are doing very well all of it.
Amen. Amen. I honestly I do believe that I was definitely called to this. There was a season I walked away from radio. There was a season where I said I don't want nothing to do with this industry. But that was my season where I had to go into the wilderness and God had to speak to me. And what brought me out of that experience was God talked to me and said that you walked off your platform. So I can't use you unless you're back on your platform. And that's when I made the decision to go back to radio, go back to the music industry. And ever since then, I just saw God move differently because my expectations was different. I was no longer in it for building me. I was no longer in it for,
Mm,
having creating this legacy or this career, but I just wanted to do God's will at this point. So for me, the success comes from me just being obedient and just doing what He said. So so like even where people come to me like, "Hey, you're doing a great job doing it," is encouraging. But I really, honestly, really give God all the glory because at this point in this juncture of my life, it's not about me. It's not about what I'm able to achieve. It's not about where I'm able to go, what I'm able to do for others. It's really about me being obedient for the seat that God has put me in, because I understand that at any given time this season can end. But my thing is though is that was I effective in this season, and I always want to be effective whether I'm in season or out of season
mm,
where I'm at.
mm.
I just want to do what He wants me to do, and I know that as long as I'm obedient, everything is already taken care of.
So I want to ask you a question. Reach Radio, being that it is a media-based station, how do you select your artists, and what place do you all have for independent artists on your platform?
Well, that's what's one of the greatest things that I do when I select the music. I get my music director. We don't pretty much weight it off of um who's independent, who's not, right? So we understand that, of course, some of the ones who are not independent, who are signed, they may have upper hand within the industry because they're known.
Mhm.
But however, we do take the time out to listen to independent music as well because that's important. So like for me, a part of my I guess legacy is that I've broken quite a few artists. From the beginning of their career. And my thing is though is that at one point they were independent.
That's right.
So if I never listened to them, if I never took a chance on them, then they wouldn't be main staples who they are today. And my thing is though is that, you know, independent artists is definitely important. It's important to us, and we actually do play a lot of independent artists. To the point to where I was called out on it a few years ago about how many independent artists I do play. But the answer is simple. Listen, I'm known for breaking some staples. So my thing is though is that I had to continue who I am. I
That's right.
can't just I can't bow away from that or fold or to just play only the known or the signed artists.
Right.
I have to be able to play just good music in general.
That's
So
important.
with so many people and so many musical artists coming out at this point, what is your review process, and how would people be able to get their product to you for review?
One thing I do, well, the first step is to email it to my music director. Her name is Destiny Diggs. Shout out to Destiny. She helps me out a whole lot with kind of being that first step, kind of reading through the music. Um, you know, Her email address is Destiny Diggs with two G's at reachgospelradio.com. That's Destiny Diggs at reachgospelradio.com. So you can email her for sure. And then we kind of have a music meeting, kind of go through things. And she let me know, like, hey, this is what this song is. This song is really hot. I really like this song. Really, she is really the secret. Because I've empowered her to really kind of go through and weed out what songs are really good. She's really good at that. Her and I spent a lot of time together, kind of going through what makes the song good, and what sound we're looking for. So is it well produced? Or does it sound like they recorded it at home? Or is the hook catchy? How soon does the hook come in? Is it too, is it something that the average listener could sing along to? Like all these are some of the different factors that we kind of look for in a song. to see that if it's just something that we want to expose our listeners to.
Well, and the reason why I asked that is because I've been sending information out to Reach Radio on Leonard and the Leonardettes,
Oh Lord.
and the song was entitled "I'm Hot You Not," but Jesus is on your side, and it was only 7.5 minutes long.
7.5
and,
minutes.
See, that's it.
and
He
I
started
was
off
just
bad.
I was just trying to figure out. I ain't got no call back. The Ets is upset. They don't quit and everything else because they couldn't get the song on the radio.
Jesus.
I just want to know,
Hilarious.
what we did wrong.
Well, the first thing was the song was 7.5 minutes long.
Come on.
Let's start there.
Let's talk.
It was anointed. It was anointed.
Uh-uh.
It was anointed for you to play in your car.
Come on. Teach us.
And put it on repeat as much as you want.
Teach us.
So that's the thing though. One thing's that, and I'm glad you brought that up because people will send songs that are that long, right?
Mhm.
And the thing is though is that God moved. You got to hear this. This is for the nations. But some things is really for your local church. Something is really for your local community. Some things are not necessarily for you to send out to the world. I
so
understand
nice.
that God moved, and I'm not going to say God didn't move because God absolutely probably did move in that moment of your recording. However, there are certain things that has to translate to radio. So, like for an example, if you have a song that is 7.5 minutes long, and let's just say the song is really good, it's really anointed, you can feel the power of God coming through their speakers when you're playing it, then someone needs to do a radio edit of that, right? So
Right.
that song needs to be at 3.5 minutes or under. I know you want to say 4, 3.5 minutes or under. And the reason for that is because the average listener attention span can only last that long
Yes,
for
right.
one song.
That's right.
That's number one. Number two is my job as a program director is to give as much music as I can to keep the people engaged.
That's right.
So if I have one song that is playing too long, at some point people are going to check out. They're doing different things because let's be honest, when we're listening to the radio, we're not always just in worship like this the whole time, right? We're busy, we're doing things. We want to hear our favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
We want things to kind of continue, right? We want the radio to help drive our day.
That's right.
So so we have a song that is elongated to over 7.5 minutes, over 5 minutes, for real.
That's long.
Then at that point, the listener says, "Let me see what else is on."
Right.
And once they tune out, you have to wait for the other station to do something that they don't like for them to tune back. So my thing is that as a program director, we have to one, get you there, but two, we have to keep you there.
Well, see, I understood that. And that's why I was explaining to the Leonard and the Leonardettes. That's why when we did the 7.5 minute songs, it's actually 4 songs in one, so it shifts.
Well, reprise it. Reprise it on your project.
It starts off quartet, and then it go to R&B, then it go to hip hop, and
busy.
we end off with praise and worship.
Too busy.
It's so amazing.
Too busy.
That song has no identity.
Right.
So the reason I say that is because so many people feel like their song is the it song. So one of the listeners asked, "What artists have you recently heard that just blew you away?" Besides Leonard and the Leonardettes, we're gonna leave them to the side.
Right, we're gonna leave it to the side. Way to the side.
I will say there's a new artist that is actually he's about to drop soon. His name Kyle Alexander. No, it's not me. But his name is Kyle Alexander. He's he's an independent, more of a, I want to say like a hip hop artist. But his music is it can translate across multiple genres. I think that he's a really dope artist. Cinder Moore is another one. She has some new music coming out. I think she just dropped one with Tremaine Hawkins. So her music is really dope. I'm trying to think who else independent that I've heard recently. This artist in Nashville named Danita Gibbs. Like she's a really dope artist.
Wonderful.
Danita Gibbs, yeah. I think she's a really dope artist. Looking forward to her, hopefully her doing some great things in this industry. But there's quite a few out there.
Yeah, I definitely am going to send you our new artist Palace. He's both a praise and worshiper and rap artist, hip hop artist,
Nice.
and he has a new song called "In You, Lord," that is
Okay.
really doing really well both on the gospel and on the CCM charts.
Okay.
And so I want to
That's dope.
get that out to you. And the song is under 3 minutes. What? What?
Come on. Come on. Now
See,
that's anointed.
yeah. See,
Right.
feel there. So one of the things about it, I think that a lot of times people don't realize. A lot of times when they see your position, they only look at it from a power place versus as a heavy responsibility.
Yeah.
In your capacity, you're almost like the pastor or the bishop of radio. You have
Absolutely.
20 stations that you oversee
Absolutely.
to make sure that the ministry is going forward. When you accepted your role in this bishopry, as I will call it,
Mhm.
how do you prepare yourself to really minister and grow your organization underneath you?
Well, the first thing is one to make sure that I'm staying connected,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Because this is ministry. Because the thing is though is that if I forget my why, then at some point I'm gonna lose my way,
Mhm.
and then the stations will fall.
That's
And
right.
are the mindset of what we're doing will go to the wayside. And the thing is though is that for me, in order for anything that I do, any decision I make, any direction I want to go in, any vision that is cast, I had to first speak to my father.
Come on.
And he has to be the one that kind of gives me the full direction of what to do and how to do it. Because at the end of the day, I am not that smart.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be real. I am not that smart.
Mhm.
But my thing is though is that I have enough wisdom to know that I have to follow his way and not my way.
That's
And
right.
and as long as I keep him at the forefront, that kind of keeps things moving. And that's why I guess the success is happening because it's not about me; it's about him.
Now, who are some of the artists that are under you for your particular management company or whatever it is?
I work with a few artists, like Kalate, Jacqueline, and I'm working on a few others that I'm signing right now. So I was gonna leave that there.
So one of the things about it, we actually have Kalante being one of the co-headliners for the San Diego County Fair this year,
See?
Love it,
and
love it.
we actually had Jacqueline about 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay,
So I definitely once we get offline, I want to just holler at you because we are always looking for the next hot thing, as well as
okay,
we do several major events on the West Coast. And the craziest thing is that we get calls from everybody. I'm working on a national booking right now, just because they know we have the access to so many artists. But the
dope.
biggest thing is that I do believe in partnership and connecting together, because I think that that is the way the industry will move when we begin to reach out to one another and support each other. So respect to you,
Absolutely,
sir, for all that you are doing. Want to continue. I'm going to make sure that Rob, or if you can make sure Robert has your information,
I
I'll
have
make
it.
sure I give you
yep,
my information, and let's just tap in together. On the West Coast, we're strong.
no,
Where you're at, you're strong, and I think collectively we can move the artists to all new levels.
I agree.
Okay,
Absolutely, I agree.
let's talk about your National Association of Gospel Radio.
Okay,
Tell us
all
about it.
right. All
Is it
right.
okay?
So the National Association of Gospel Radio is a trade association where some of us radio professionals came together to join forces to help grow the industry. One of the big things that we noticed is that when it comes to gospel, sometimes we're competitive, right? We're not together. We're competitive. We're
Come
always
on.
competing against one another, and in reality, it's not helping us.
Come on.
One of the things that I've done is that on the CCM side, I went and I visit um, a group called Christian Music Broadcasters, and I went to go visit them, and I noticed, well, one, the first thing I noticed, I was the only black person in the room. And then the second thing I noticed was that they were collective. So my thing is though is that the industry was on one accord. They were sharing information, they were sharing resources,
Hmm.
and they were really focused on building the industry. So one of the things that when I got with Pastor CJ at KOKA in Shreveport, Louisiana, and then Fred, Bishop Fred. Um, what is Fred's? I want to call. I don't want to call the wrong Fred out.
Mhm.
Bishop Fred,
Mhm.
out of Little Rock, Arkansas.
Fred
Fred
Harris.
Harris, Bishop Fred Harris. There
Fred
you go.
Harris.
But yeah, Bishop Fred Harris. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. There's so
Yes.
many Freds I know. But Bishop Fred Harris out of Little Rock, Arkansas. We and Drew Joyner out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. We were actually at an artist listening event in Atlanta together. His It was a CD release, and we met each other. We clicked immediately,
Mhm.
and we started having conversations. As, hey, what would this look like if we got together and started sharing resources? And that's when we came up with the idea of starting the National Association of Gospel Radio, to where we can come together, join forces, share information, share resources, and be a blessing to the industry as a whole. Because one thing that we've learned is we have to grow. Sometimes in gospel, we want to hold on to what once was,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes,
So we
sir.
want to preserve, right? So we become in the business of preservation. But the thing is, though, is that in order for our industry to last, we have to be able to grow it.
In
Because the
progress.
thing is, though, is that when a seed is put into the ground, it doesn't just stay there to be preserved. It grows roots and it grows out to
Hmm.
bear fruit and create more seed. So in order for that to happen, we understood that we have to have some seed in the ground for it to grow,
Hmm.
and not wrap it up and save it for later or preserve the sound, but help move this industry forward. So that is pretty much the heart of NAGR. We have about like 50 professionals that joined so far. We do a monthly power call where we're going over things as like sales, prospecting, we're going to talk engineering. We talk about programming. We talk about all the elements of radio, because for us, when it comes to radio, a lot of times the only thing we talk about is programming, but the radio station is made up of more than programming.
That's
So,
right.
like for example, the sales area is very important to us, because radio stations need to know how to make money, and sometimes they don't have the resources or the research, to either go and attract those big clients. So
Hmm.
now, with you being a part of the organization, we have Adrian Warren, who is the chairperson of our radio sales committee. He's from iHeart in Florida. Um, he oversees that, and he gives out so many resources for radio stations who may not be able to have the budget to
Hmm.
go get the research done, but he gives that to them to show them how to prospect. Give them some tools to make sure that they can go out there and get the funds that are available. Because it's going to take all of us in every area, whether it's the receptionist,
That's
it's
right.
the business department, it's the sales department, the program department, marketing. We got to have it all together.
Well, I saw about this organization, and I applied to be one of the grand poobahs, and they wouldn't let me be.
Um,
They said I had to be a poop before I could be a poobah, and I just
it
didn't want
wasn't
to be
it
a
wasn't our
poop.
organization.
Right.
So no, but real talk. Let me ask you a question, because really several artists have called me, and they were like, Dr. T, check this out. Um, we got this organization, that organization, all these new organizations that are popping up, and they're like, where should we really seed our energy into? Because you have the GMA, you have the GMWA, now you have the GEN, you have all these different organizations that are coming out. Let's just talk about your organization. Where do you
Mhm.
see yourself fitting in all these new organizations are popping up, and how many conferences are we going to have talking about coming together, and but we're still divided because we're just opening up new organizations.
That's a very good question, and I love that. And that was one of the things that was also our heart as well, because and this is why we didn't make it industry wide. We made it radio specific, and even with that, to where we're doing things on a monthly basis, so that way you're able to see the fruit of when you join what you're getting,
Hmm.
right? Because that's very important to us. So we have a chair of membership who is focused on making sure that our members receive actual benefits, and not just the the I guess the hoopla
The
per se,
fluff.
the fluff, of saying you're a part of this organization, but
Right.
you have to actually get actual benefits. So one thing for us, we're a nonprofit organization, right? So we even have things in place to where people pay membership fees. The board, we don't see the money. We hired an outside entity to make sure that the money is going where it needs to go to
Hmm.
and not to any of us. So we have things that are in place to where, and I don't know about the other organizations if they have
Mm-hmm.
checks and balances in place, but we have checks and balances in place because that's one of the big things that we want to make sure that one, because we're a nonprofit that is recognized by the federal government, we have all our stuff in order.
Mm-hmm.
Because I ain't going to jail.
That's
That's number
Yeah.
right.
one.
Yeah.
Number
That's
two
right.
is we want accountability because the thing is though is that if this is really our heart and we're saying this is what we really want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we want God to honor it, then we're going to do it correctly.
Come
And
on.
that's one of the things that we want to make sure um, that we had all these things in place, and we do, because it's really important to us, to not have the, I guess, the connotation of what the other organizations are,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
or what they do or may not do,
Hmm.
to where like we're doing exactly what we say we're doing, and we actually can achieve what we say we can achieve.
Yeah. So with that being said, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. As you can imagine, being in the industry, both on the record side, the nonprofit, and the for-profit side, my
Mhm.
schedule gets really jam-packed. But I want
Absolutely.
to get our program director registered with you,
Amen.
so that we can get her on. So I'm going to be reaching out to you to get all the information again, so that we can become a part and tap our team in. Now, I know program directors are allowed to be a part of it. How about on airs? Can they be a
How
part?
about this? This is great. I'm glad you brought this up. So our website is wearenagr.com. Right. I'm sorry, wearenagr.org. Is wearenagr.org. And we have a couple levels of membership. So we have a
I wish you were
station
doing that.
membership, where it covers one membership covers every individual within that station.
Okay.
So with a station will have so the station signs up the program director, marketing director,
Hmm.
music director, on air jocks, sales people, no matter what it is, general manager, everyone will be covered in a member of NAGR under that one membership. Normally the membership is $299 per year, but if you sign up right now with the code NAGR1, it's $199 for this year. Um, we have individual memberships as well. So like some people who are part of the organization have podcasts, or they may have their own radio network, but they're not necessarily associated with a specific station.
Hmm.
So with that, there's a membership is $199. So yeah, $199. So so they could pay this year is NAGR2 is the code, and that membership will be $99. Matter of fact, am I saying these prices right?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to get
Well,
myself in trouble. Hold on
we
one
don't have to
second.
get. We're gonna do that. Lastly, I'd love to have you come back and talk about syndication. People have
Okay.
a real big false sense of what syndication really looks like, and
Mhm.
the different levels of syndication. And so I think that that'll be a great topic that we can continue on with when we get you back here on God Radio One.
Absolutely. I definitely be willing to do that. I was going to say the prices were right. I just checked. I just looked it up. So I was giving the right information. I just wanted to make sure. 'Cause I was like, this is kind of low, but it was that low for a reason. And we even have individual memberships, and then people who are not associated with radio who just want to be a member. We have a non-radio membership as well, which is just $100.
Okay.
Um, so we have different levels of membership.
So is Destiny Diggs at reachradio.com?
ReachGospelRadio.com.
Reach Gospel Radio.
Yes, Destiny Diggs at ReachGospelRadio.com.
All right, my brother. We appreciate you. This is gonna be a long term relationship that we're going to
Absolutely.
build. So many artists on the West Coast, so many artists throughout the world that we're working with that I know will be blessed by just having the conversation with the organization, but also in the mere fact that you can take the time and just give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and just really just help them. And I think that's the key word that everybody is trying to say now. Let's help one another to be successful. Let's stop having people waste their money on things that just really not.
Agreed.
Leonard and the Leonard broke up because they went broke trying to get that 7.5-minute song out. And so we've retired them. I thought I'd give it one more shot, because I'm trying to get my recoupables back. But, after today, we just going to go full on retirement, because Robert L. Dean has hated on them from the very, very start. And I told him to pray for him, and he was like, no, you need to go to the usher ministry.
Kyle, that's Kyle, that's a group in his head.
No, it's funny.
Right.
Kyle, here's the funny thing is that I bring these parodies out because back in the day when we were, signing a lot of artists, I had an artist come and I said, well, there's a protocol for you being signed. You have to do your bio, you have to have your headshot, everything, just for us to even just listen to you, and we need a demo. And so the young man, I don't know if he thought he was being creative or what, but he literally came and took a Polaroid camera and took a picture of himself outside of the door of our record studio. And then he did his demo on a karaoke machine, and he did his bio in crayon.
Bless his heart. He meant well.
I used that for years to say,
he meant well.
This is one of those things that you are learning experience that just don't work.
Yeah.
So I bring these parodies out because so many people are superstars in their little church, but are not ready for the industry, and so we have to place them where they need to be. Leonard S is gonna stay in my mind forever.
Hallelujah.
But
Thank you, Jesus.
They're never gonna tour.
Yes.
Right.
There'll be a memory. Yes.
Right. There'll be a memory.
Right.
Yeah. See, y'all getting it. Y'all feeling it.
Right.
And then last but not least, I just want to say that good luck in the playoffs, but Lakers all the way. And we're sorry that it's going to happen, but we're going to take home the ring this year.
Well, if y'all see us in the chip, we will have something else to say about that.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure for me to be here. I appreciate you guys. Hey, that's what I'm going to do. I believe it's next week. We're having a power call for the NAGR. I want to invite you both as my guests so you kind of can see what happens on these power calls.
Yes.
So even before you even join, I want you to be able to see what goes on and then make your decision after that. So that way it's not, I'm not influencing you or impressing you to do it, but I want you to see the work that's really being done.
Well, I'm friends with Fred Harris. I went to college in Arkansas, and his brother Greg Harris has a quartet show on here.
Okay, well, you already know we legitimate.
Yeah. And I want you to know I'm friends with Jesus.
Come on, somebody.
And because I'm friends with Jesus, I think we're gonna be all right.
Right.
But no,
Amen.
a part of everything is about building relationships. And my brother, I'm thoroughly blessed by your presence. And we want to thank you so much for giving us the time. We look forward to many more. This is none other than Kyle Glover.
Yes.
He is
the programmer, vice president of programming for Reach Gospel, and he's the president, I believe, of National Association of Gospel.
I'm the first vice president.
Vice president.
Pastor CJ rebuked me. He's the president. I'm the first vice president.
He's the first vice president.
And he's
which means he's a good follower as well. And
he's the bishop and overseer of Reach Radio.
Yes.
So Bishop.
Second ecclesiastic jurisdiction.
So this is all on God Radio 1. This is the artist I want you to hear. This is Palace in You, Lord. Right here on God Radio 1.com.